This is really awesome. I am a big fan, but
Thank you.
I guess full disclosure, Eric, I gotta say when this was first pitched and the potential for a conversation about Bad Trip was pitched to the show, one of my colleagues, Andrea, she sent me this clip of you and Larry King in an interview from
Oh
years
yeah.
ago that scared the crap out of me because you gave that
R.I.P.
man hell. Yeah.
Yeah. Hell on earth. I put him through the ringer.
You really did. And when they sent me that, I was like, I can't talk to this man. He's gonna annihilate me. He's gonna destroy me. Like, do you remember that interview? It was on one of his later shows, not the Larry King show, one of his like later like internet shows or something.
Yeah, no, I remember it very well, and it's one of my favorite interviews outside of the interviews for my show. I'm trying to think why I gave him hell, and why I'm less prone to give you hell. I think like I'm in like promote the movie mode, and that's a different mode. I was doing press then, but it was a
It was
little bit
for the
different.
Eric Andre show, yeah.
Yeah, and I was on camera in a studio, so the pressure, the nerves of that makes me a little crazier. And I also think that I just grew up watching Larry King, so it was like fun messing with him.
And like we should tell our listeners, it was a sight to behold. At one point, you yell at Larry King, "Why don't you like me?" At one point, Larry leans over to his producer and goes, "I love it when we book these intellectuals," like sarcastically. And then my favorite part, he's doing some rapid fire series of questions, and every answer to all of his questions, you just say, "Larry King,
Yeah.
Larry King, Larry
Yeah.
King."
Yeah, well, he was asking me ridiculous questions at that point. He wasn't listening. Like a good interviewer listens, and an interviewer is a conduit between your audience and the personality or the celebrity that they only have access to, that their audience doesn't have access to. So he was violating the rules of an interviewer where he wasn't being organic in that moment. So I was just like giving it back to him.
It was amazing because it's like you do this thing and it was perfectly on display in that interview and in Bad Trip and in the Eric Andre show. You love to like occupy the awkward space.
Yes.
You seem really comfortable there. Like Larry King is squirming, he is angry, and you're just like,
I'm not always totally comfortable there, but I know it's good television because it's interesting. It's watchable. It's provocative. It forces an emotion out of the viewer.
yeah. When did you figure out that that was what worked?
I think when I was like 3 years old.
Tell me.
Not I'm a virtuoso comedic prodigy. More like being the class clown, making my mom and my sister cringe with a diarrhea joke, or being the class clown and making a scene in kindergarten through 12th grade. I realized like comedy lives in those awkward moments, and when your mom is cringing or you're getting in trouble, that's usually when you're making your friends laugh.
Yeah, yeah. And it also feels like, especially with the Eric Andre show and things like those Larry King interviews, besides your work saying awkward is good, live in that, it can be comedic gold, it also seems like this meta commentary on the talk show itself and on like big media itself.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. I like it. I like that
Thanks.
you're razzing the industry.
Thanks. And I'm a benevolent razzer. I'm not out to. There's no malicious intent. It's all about cramming absurdity into everyday life and distorting reality.
Yeah,
For comedic value.
I'm into it. So, anyways, enough of Larry King. R.I.P. Larry.
R.I.P. R.I.P. Larry. R.I.P. DMX. R.I.P. Sophie. R.I.P. MF Doom. We lost a lot of my faves in the last just 4 months.
Yeah.
Depressing.
How are you processing that?
I listened to a lot. It was my birthday a week and a half ago. And
Happy birthday.
Thank you. Me and my girlfriend had some tiki drinks over the weekend, and we blasted DMX and Sophie and MF Doom.
I love how there's all of these like the music was so rough and so raw, but then like if you Google DMX videos, half of the videos of him, he's like tending to flowers and praying and like giving sermons.
Yeah,
like,
and
he
like
contained multitudes.
Did you see the video of him with his daughter in the slingshot ride?
And the roller coaster thing?
Yeah, and he's like, it's okay,
wept.
baby, it's okay, baby. Yeah, he was a complex man. There was a lot of depth there.
Yeah.
You know, he was very fascinating. And he obviously had a lot of tragedy in his life, but he's truly a fascinating, he's a star. You know, he's a fascinating, he's just like, just endlessly interesting. You're always wanting to know more, you know.
He's one of those people where you just can't look away. He's so charismatic. You just hang on to everything he does and he says. He just has that power, you know?
Yeah.
Anyway.
We
keep talking about people that are dead.
I know. Let's talk about some live people.
Let's talk about some life. Let's talk about Bad Trip. For folks that haven't seen it, give them a quick plot synopsis.
It's a hidden camera prank movie, but there's a narrative. There's a story within the hidden camera prank. That's basically a love story. It's a buddy road trip comedy, a la Dumb and Dumber. Hidden camera Dumb and Dumber. I'll say that.
Yeah.
Borat. No, I got an easy one. Borat meets Dumb and Dumber. There we go. That's
but black.
But black. Black Borat. Blorat.
Yes, Blorat. I don't want to give away too much, but I do want you, if you're...
It's out. The movie's out already. Give it away.
It is out, but there's some people who haven't seen it. Are you...
Give it away.
Okay, give it away. Spoiler alert, everyone. At the end, they all die.
R.I.P.
Break down one of the plots and like how you make it work. Because what I kept wondering as you're doing these pranks in the real world and filming them, I was just like, what is the 1, 2, 3 to get it done? Because it seems like there's a lot of space for it to go wrong and just not work.
What is the 1, 2, 3 to get it to go wrong or right? What did you ask?
I want you to tell me the process to just explain to me how it works, because I think like seeing these pranks happen, my question the whole time was just like, how does he pull this off? Like some people have to know, some people can't know, but the cameras are there.
Nobody knows except the actors, except for me, Michaela, Tiffany Haddish, and Rel. We never had a fake reaction. Our ethos going into it was like, you can never have a fake reaction, even if you just need a line of exposition out of somebody that you're pranking. It has to be authentic. So for instance, there's a scene where I break out into musical. I realize I'm in love with Maria, the love interest in the movie, and I'm talking to this older gentleman on a bench right outside of the mall, and I'm asking him, I'm having this existential debate on whether I should stay in New York and toil in these miserable menial jobs, or if I should chase love and go to New York. I talked to that guy probably for like 90 minutes before I got 2 sentences out of him that I needed to kick off the whole road trip, which was, I just needed him to say, I was like, what do you think? Do you think I should stay here and toil in obscurity, or do you think I should go and take a chance on love? And he goes, hey, you know what? I don't know. I say go for it. Otherwise, you're going to live your whole life saying, what if I woulda, what if I coulda, what if I shoulda? The scene's probably 2 minutes long. I talked to that guy for almost 2 hours just to get that one little piece of information out of him, because there's no fake reactions in the movie. We have to have everyone having a genuine reaction, so that was our ethos going into it. So
are you recording the whole time?
And we're recording the whole time on multiple on like 19 cameras.
And this dude doesn't see the cameras?
No, they're all hidden. So they're either like camera operators hidden inside parked minivans with tinted windows, or like special boxes and fake walls that we build into walls, into existing building structures. There's camera people hiding on the roof like snipers. There's people we had coffee cup cameras. We have these little GoPro, I swear to God. And we can send out, I should show pictures more on Instagram.
You should.
So there's like GoPros that hide in cameras and backpacks. So we have like roving camera operators that are plain clothes hiding in broad daylight with these little like GoPro cameras hidden in their backpacks and coffee cups. So there's no fake reactions throughout the movie.
Do you and then I was reading that
both for prank reactions and for exposition, just for plot. we wouldn't want those reactions fake. So even when I go up to the ROTC, the Army recruitment guy, and he's telling me to make up with my best friend, that's another example where I talked to that guy for like 2 hours just to get
Wait, he talked to you for 2 hours?
Yeah, I was going back and forth. I was just like lighting him up, making him think I was insane, and getting him to be like, you just apologize to your friend, man, just to get that exposition out of him. We wanted all that to be genuine, because you really, as an audience member, you feel when it's genuine, when it's not genuine. Yeah. And these people aren't actors, so even if you gave them a line to say after you prank them, they're not going to get it right. You need them to be genuine so that it's a captivating, a performance in of itself.
Are you surprised that strangers will talk to you that long, especially when you're going into some weird, strange places?
I am, but I had it down to a science where I kind of knew how to charm them enough to get them to talk to me, but also make them think I'm completely nuts. And a lot of them were like stuck there. Like the Army recruitment guy was stuck there doing his job, so he couldn't really leave. He was on his shift. So he was kind of trapped.
Or like the guy at the car wash.
The guy at the car wash is waiting for his car to be clean. The guy removing graffiti on the wall is stuck there doing his job while Tiffany Haddish drops out from under a prison bus. So a lot of these people were at work or stuck waiting for their car to be washed. They were kind of stuck. That's kind of what you want to. They weren't passersby, So that helps.
Yeah. So like, can you do retakes?
No, there's no real retakes. You can do a prank with different people a few times, but there's no
way to do it. Yeah,
there's not really a retake.
Sense.
No,
I shouldn't have asked that question. I should have. Yeah, of course there's no retakes. These are strangers. I read that you would attract a lot of the people that you needed to make these pranks work with free food or the offer of free food.
Yeah, that's not even. I can't even claim that as a tactic. A lot of prank shows use that as a tactic. It's just a way to get people to congregate in one area before you pull off a prank. It's a simple, affordable way of corralling people towards a towards a location. Yeah,
but
like a lot of free tacos in the back of a lot of scenes.
Well, like they show up for the free taco truck, and then before you know it, Tiffany Haddish is holding you by the neck from the side of the roof of a building.
Yes. Yeah. Free food helps.
Which prank in the film were you most proud of?
I don't know. They're all my darlings. I do like the Army recruitment guy because there's like a lot of heart to it. I like the scene where I apologized to Rel on the bus in front of all those people because it has real heart to it. It's not about being gross. It's almost like a scene from When Harry Met Sally. It's almost like a rom-com in public. And it's just such like an iconic movie trope that to do that in real life and have people within the scene that we were pranking emotionally invested into our plight was really sincere. I think the hardest I laugh is when Tiffany Haddish falls off the bus and begs that guy to not snitch on her, and he's super conflicted, and that's probably the hardest I laughed.
But it was also great to see how just like that guy was down. He was like,
yeah. Oh man, he was in over his head. That guy was incredible.
Over his head. I love it.
Yeah.
So, were there any pranks that you couldn't use?
Yeah, we shot we released some of them. We did a prank with Chris Rock, and the person we were pranking recognized Chris right away, obviously, because he's
Which you had to have expected.
Yeah, we were hoping. We had him semi-disguised, but his voice is so iconic and recognizable. So that was the biggest heartbreak, because he did the movie for no money. He flew himself out. He just did it as a fan, and to have to cut one of my heroes from the movie was very heartbreaking. We also did this, and you could see we just posted it online. We also did this prank where we stayed at me and Rel and I stayed at a haunted motel for the night, and I get possessed, a la The Exorcist, and we had this real preacher that we found, this real Georgian preacher in and perform an exorcist on me. We just released a bunch of deleted scenes, so you can see them on YouTube.
What is your demonic possession voice?
It's kind of like my Eric Andre show voice. It was very macho man Randy Savage, like Controlato barada nictos agnas de gloriae benedictus. It's like that kind of. It's kind of like how I do stand up. Yeah.
Okay. What was the most dangerous thing that happened to you and Rel and the whole team during the taping of these pranks?
There's a scene where my character, Rel's character, our penises get stuck in a Chinese finger trap.
Even when you say it, I've seen it twice. I've watched this movie twice, and when you say what the pranks are, it like breaks me down all over again. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
And we went into this kind of like hood barbershop in Atlanta, and
don't undersell it. First, so y'all have these like prosthetic peni.
Yeah,
connected to an oversized Chinese finger trap.
Yes, and we're stretching it back and forth. We're trying to get out of the penis trap. We're trapped in the thing. So we asked this barber politely to use his scissors to cut us out of this trap, and the guy did not think it was funny. And he chased us out of his barbershop with a knife. And he told us later he was lucky. He's like, "You're lucky I didn't bring my gun to work. I usually bring my gun." And that was Rel's first day of shooting. So Rel quit the movie for like 24 hours. We didn't have Rel.
Nice.
Because we almost murdered him.
Yeah. And also, Rel didn't just quit. Rel called up his friend Tiffany Haddish to be like, He called
Tiffany to vent, and Tiffany started laughing at him. He's like, Eric Andre's got me doing this prank movie. He almost got me killed. And she thought it was so funny that she called me after she got off the phone with Rel, and she was like, "Yo, you almost got Rel killed?" And I was like, "Yeah, don't tell anybody." I was embarrassed. And she goes, "Nah, like I live for that shit. Get me in there." like I love doing. Like she'd done some prank shows on MTV and Comedy Central. She's like, "Sign me up. I'll do any of that." Like I live for that stuff. And coincidentally, the woman that was supposed to play Rel's sister had just dropped out because she had a scheduling conflict with her television show. So it was pennies from heaven. I mean, like it was a casting from heaven, and because obviously Tiffany's just brilliant.
She's so good.
It added so much value to the movie. Yeah.
I love you getting comfortable. Do it to it. Where's the bench?
Yeah. Why not?
Also, does that shirt say Celine Dion?
Yeah, Celine Dion, My Heart Will Go On. Check this shirt out. Might be my best shirt.
That is not Celine Dion's face. That's like demonic something. What? Where'd you get that shirt?
I don't know. Somebody just sent it to me.
Okay. I like it.
Thanks.
Full disclosure, I saw Celine Dion at her Vegas show.
Yeah?
She's great, and she's really funny. She's funny.
Really?
She tells these little jokes between the songs. Team Celine.
Didn't she marry her manager when she was like 15 or something weird?
There is that.
Renee.
Yeah.
Sacre bleu.
Renee is dead as well, just like
really?
Kane.
R.I.P.
Yeah. Everybody's dead.
Yeah, it happens. It's the only thing guaranteed in life.
Yeah. Sorry we keep going back to death. Let's get back to this.
Very morbid interview.
Yeah. All right. So talking about these pranks where knives are pulled, etc.
Yes.
Did you have to have any extra safety precautions around the potential for those things? Because y'all aren't Johnny Knoxville. Y'all are black people out in the world.
Yeah. We, after the knife incident, we beefed up our security. We did have a security guard during that, but we leveled it up a lot after that because that was a nightmare. So, and my safe word was popcorn, but I kept forgetting my safe word in those violent moments. I kept saying goosebumps for some reason. My mind just re-recorded goosebumps over popcorn, so I'd be yelling at security, "Goosebumps, goosebumps, goosebumps," and they'd be like, "Huh?" And I go, "Popcorn."
Dude, do you think it was riskier doing the pranks that you're doing with a team of people of color as opposed to like literally Johnny Knoxville and the white folks doing it?
Yeah, it can be. I mean, definitely we didn't. It's funny. I even talked to Knoxville about this. Knoxville had a prank that he did back in the day in Jackass, where he was in an orange prison jumpsuit with handcuffs and leg cuffs, and he went into a hardware store. And he was like, "Can you saw these handcuffs off me? What do you got?" And cops came and like almost arrested him, and I was just like thinking like, yeah, me and Rel did that shit, we'd be dead.
You'd be dead. They would shoot you on sight. They would shoot you on sight.
Shoot me on sight. So there was things like that where it was like, you know, we probably shouldn't be. I mean, we had Tiffany in an orange jumpsuit, but you know what? That was a very contained, like, except for the graffiti removal guy, that we locked down the street for her own safety. So we weren't letting, like, pedestrians on that street. We like kind of trapped that guy, unbeknownst to him. Hidden camera means hidden crew. So we kind of like isolated that guy without his knowledge, so that Tiffany would be safe in the orange jumpsuit.
I love that guy.
Yeah,
he was a freaking good sport.
Oh my God, he's amazing.
Yeah. So on top of like the team doing these pranks being black and brown, I noticed a lot of the like civilians and bystanders involved on the sidelines and wrapped up in these pranks. They're also people of color.
Yeah.
A lot of them. Was that intentional?
Not directly intentional. A lot of we filmed the majority of the movie in Atlanta, you know.
Well, that explains a lot.
Georgia. So there's just a lot of black people in Atlanta. But also it's a black cast in compromised situation. Our characters are always in compromised situation, and it was just nice seeing black people help black people out. It was like the people we're pranking were like even more invested because me and Rel are in peril in so many situations. And it wasn't like directly intentional. It kind of like organically happened, but also like black people have better reactions. Like black people are so emphatic and like a lot of people in the movie like wear their heart on their sleeve in the way like they don't hide their feelings. Like no, like if you prank like a white businessman, they're just kind of like, well, that's weird. I'm just gonna walk away. You know what I mean?
Whereas like the black woman starts praying for you. Literally.
Yes. Or the woman in the chicken wing shop, J.R. Crickets, that's like
love her.
When Tiffany comes in, Jackie
she's amazing.
Was her name.
Yeah,
and she's like, I was just about to call you, girl, when Tiffany came back. She's like, I went to school with the police. I'm in security. I don't forget a face. Like, she's just so charismatic, like if she was a stuffy white businessman who's like, you know, works for a hedge fund, I don't think we would have gotten that same reaction. Yeah.
Well, and like there's also when you're getting those kind of reactions from people of color, it's also revealing something that I never saw a lot of in Punk'd or Jackass or even Borat, and lots of reviewers have spoken about this in the film Bad Trip. There's a certain humanity that's revealed in these people that are being pranked. Yeah. They are usually nice, they're usually kind, and they're trying to help in spite of them being totally discombobulated by the prank.
Totally. You know what? When we first showed the movie to Sacha Baron Cohen, he had the best, like, succinct, astute review. And he turned to me and he goes, you know, my movies are about exposing the corruption and hypocrisy of like wealthy white oligarchs. He goes, your movie is about showing the humanity and the beauty and the good Samaritan nature of black people and working class people. And like, he goes, I really hope your movie like unites the working class, because we're pitted against each other so often through class and race that your movie shows the humanity of the proletariat. And I was like, wow, like right as he ended the movie, like that was the first thing out of his mouth. He's like, I'm just trying to show how shitty Mike Pence is. Like, he goes, that's all I care about. He's like, that's my goal. He goes, I want to show how shitty Giuliani and all these evildoers are. he's like, you're showing how like amazing, like he just commented to the humanity in the movie and it came out in a very like organic way. You know what I mean?
What does it feel to hear that about a prank
Oh
film?
my God, he's one of my heroes. You know what I mean? I grew up on Ali G show and Borat, so it was surreal enough just being at his house, showing him a rough cut of our movie and getting advice from him. But it was very. It was a like pinch me, I must be dreaming kind of moment.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I thought he articulated it well. You know. I think he does. Yeah.
Did you go into the film hoping to make that point that he said you made?
The film was such a slow and long process, shot over 3 years, written over 7 years, edited over a few years, that it organically started taking that shape as we were writing pranks for Rel and I and realizing we had to keep our characters sympathetic, and anything that was like intentionally destructive or acerbic for my character made me unlikable, and those pranks started going away and the sympathetic pranks started coming about, and then filming in Atlanta and then getting footage of also like it was like some of it was not like so directly academically planned, but it organically developed over years of R&D, basically, of trial and error. And it just like ended up also just the most charismatic people that we pranked are black in the like the guy with the megaphone that goes, I didn't know I was going to be Samuel L. Jackson in The Negotiator. Like, that guy was just he was so involved, like begging Tiffany to, like, not kill me. Like, he ain't worth it, baby. Like, whatever he did. Also, they both assumed I was guilty. They were just like, yeah, he's guilty. Like they didn't even think, like, she's the bad guy. Like, I was clearly the bad guy to them. Like, you know, you're like, what? Because the woman goes, what the hell did you do to her? I was like, what did I do to her? I didn't do anything. Like, I'm innocent. So it was a combination. It was just kind of like the universe made this movie in a weird way. You know what I mean? Because so much of it was out of our. You're dealing with real people in the real world, so they're really shaping the movie more than the producers, the writers, the actors. Yeah. It's really it's the people's movie. It really is.
It is the people's movie.
Yeah.
Yes.
It really is. Like,
Bad Trip DSA.
I'll tell you, in every test screening, the stars of the show are the people we prank. Do I get the biggest laugh? Does Rel get the biggest laugh? Did Tiffany get the biggest laugh? Michaela? No, it's the
lady in the restaurant.
It's the lady in the restaurant. It's the ROTC. It's the Army recruitment guy. It's the Samuel L. Jackson negotiator guy. You know, they get the biggest. It's the graffiti removal guy going, go that way, go that way. Always gets the biggest laugh. So we made these real everyday people that didn't even know they were on camera in a movie. They're the movie stars.
They're the stars
at the end of the day, which is.
I keep going back to the woman who comes for the free tacos, then tries to save you from being dropped off the roof, and she just starts praying. She just starts praying. Yeah. I'm like, I love that woman, and I hope she's okay.
Yeah.
I've thought about her a lot.
I just recently interviewed her, so they reached out to some of the people we pranked recently.
Really?
Yeah, and I interviewed her recently, and I interviewed one of the women in the gorilla scene, and I interviewed the guy with the dreads and the peace necklace that, like, when Rel and I are having our falling out fight.
He's breaking it up.
He's like breaking it up. He was amazing. He was like, well, you know, I'm a Pisces with an Aries moon rising, so I help people. He was so spiritual. I don't know astrology as well as he did. He was like, yeah, my water sign and my earth sign are this, and da. But, yeah, that guy's an actual hero. I told him he needs to like become like a counselor or like a spiritual advisor. He's like incredible.
Yeah. What is the big takeaway from all these folks when you interview them later, as they reflect on the prank in the movie?
They were so, like, happy. They were so happy to be involved. And, like, the movie doesn't punch down. The movie isn't out to, like, expose anybody or show them in a negative light. Like, like Rel and I are always the butt of the joke. So it shows these people as heroes, and like it shows the best side of them, not the worst side of them. So I think they were like proud of their, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Proud of their Good Samaritan nature.
You know, those folks you mentioned, they had really positive reactions to these pranks in real time, but there were some folks who were just like, you did what? Like, was it when you're in the like cowboy dance hall club where everyone's two-stepping?
Yeah, the nurse.
And then you're throwing up?
I interviewed like the woman that I vomited all over, and she was actually really okay with it because she was also a Good Samaritan. It was this guy, and I think we just showed in the outtakes during the credits. I like kind of pee all over the bar, and I pee by his feet. That guy was pretty pissed at me, and he like threw his glass down and he was gonna fight me.
Wasn't there someone else though when you're in that cowboy bar and you start vomiting and can't stop, and everyone's like, "Oh my god!" But then once you like kind of stop vomiting, someone brings you a fresh beer.
Yeah.
What?
She was cool. I think I was just chatting her up all night. Like she was like a cougar on the town, ready to party. I think like we were talking to her for a while. I think she was like recently divorced and ready to just like party. So
was she trying to get vomiting Eric Andre home?
I don't know. Maybe she saw an opportunity there.
Oh my goodness! What's been the most surprising reaction from an unsuspecting person in some of these pranks, besides the lady bringing you more beer after you throw up?
The one that blows my mind, and I to this day don't understand, is there's a scene where it's after I have my falling out with Rel's character, and I'm like down and out and destitute. I'm kind of at my low point, and I start missing my best friend. And then I'm on a street corner, and I start seeing all these like chubby, bespectacled black guys walk by that kind of remind me of Rel. And I'm going up to them, and I'm going, Bud, is that you? And they're like, what? Oh, Bud, is that you? And they're like, huh? And then finally, the last guy I would go up to, I go, Bud? And he goes, what? And I go, oh, I thought you were my friend named Bud. And he goes, everybody's got a friend named Bud nowadays. And I was like, what the fuck does that mean?
That's really weird to say.
I did not understand that whatsoever.
Everybody's got a friend named Bud these days. So, one of the pranks in the movie, someone beats up a blind person.
Yes.
Another prank in the movie, a gorilla has sexy time.
I would just say for your audience listening, that is a stunt man.
Okay,
by the way. That wasn't a real blind person out in the streets. That is a stunt. Yes. That is a non-blind stunt man. Yes.
People in the wild are thinking that you're like beating up a blind man or something.
Yes, well, not me, Michaela.
Yes. And then there's like the gorilla sex scene at the zoo.
Yes.
Is there a barometer for offensiveness when you're thinking about pranks and what will end up in the movie? Like, is there a line you will not cross, or do you not think about it that way?
You know what? Thinking about a line to not cross or cross is like you're always threading the needle when you're doing shock comedy. And I think shock comedy and being provocative and sometimes polarizing in your comedy is very important, not just in comedy, but in all art. But I think behind every creative comedic choice or any creative artistic choice of any artistic medium, fine art, literature, poetry, dance, I think it comes down to two things. It comes down to intent and context. I think it's very easy for anybody to recontextualize any scene from any movie or any work of art, any medium, and be offended by it, murder, like the act of murder is horrible, right? You would say murdering somebody is very horrible.
I would say.
Yet when we're watching John Wick in the movie theaters and Keanu Reeves, Keanu Reeves is murdering a million stuntmen, at no point are you like, you know what, that's kind of messed up because Jeffrey Dahmer murdered some people. And you're not being sensitive to their plight. You wouldn't think that because you're looking at John Wick in a specific context. So there's context and there's intent. There's never any malicious intent behind any of I can't speak for all comedians, but behind my creative comedic choices, there's never malicious intent. My only intent is to make the audience laugh, and even make the people I'm pranking laugh eventually once the
Yeah.
prank is revealed.
Yeah.
So
Okay. That
I
makes
think that's a
sense.
big part of the creative process, figuring out your intent and never having malicious intent, and then the context is almost for the audience. That's the burden of the audience. I think you can recontextualize any scene from any movie, whether it's comedy or drama or any art form, but it's up to you to put the pieces together and kind of understand the context of any scene.
Yeah. You know what's
Yeah.
even better than John Wick killing all them folks in that movie? Halle Berry killing all them folks in that movie. Have you seen the one where she's in it?
No, which one is that?
I don't
In the
even
first
know.
one?
There's so many. No. It's like one of the sequels. But
I think I've seen the first and the third. I don't think I saw the second one.
one of the John Wick movies has Halle
Yeah.
Berry in there.
Yeah.
They mess around and kill Halle Berry's dog. And she's like, oh, hell no. And then she goes on this rampage, and Halle Berry is just chat. It's amazing. Go find it. Go watch it. I think you will like it. From what I can tell, Bad Trip has done pretty well on Netflix. Came out at number 1. It went back to number 1. It's very word of mouth in my circles. I don't usually watch stuff more than once. I watched a movie twice.
Amazing. Thank you.
I feel like it's doing well. What do you expect when you put a film out like yours on a platform as vast as Netflix, and has the response to this film surprised you at all?
Yeah, I mean, for a while the movie was in the graveyard. I mean, MGM was like
Really?
secretly trying to sell it to Quibi at one point.
Wait, are you
and, like,
serious?
Yeah, and they kept
But
telling
that's
us
only 10 minutes. You couldn't put the whole
it made no
movie.
sense, and they kept telling us Netflix passed and Netflix didn't pass. Then we
Wait,
said,
who
then
told
we
you that?
finally
Fire
this
your
is at
agent.
this is MGM. So at the beginning of the quarantine, so we're about to premiere at South by Southwest 2020. A once in a lifetime global pandemic shuts it down. I'm devastated. Then I find out MGM's secretly trying to sell the movie to Quibi, and I'm like, what the hell is going on? And they kept telling us Netflix passed. Finally, we reach out to Netflix. Netflix loved the movie. They bought it off of MGM. They've been so supportive and put so much creativity and muscle behind the marketing and the messaging of the movie. And then also their subscription base doubled in quarantine. I think they had 100 million subscriptions at the top of quarantine. Now they have 200 mil plus subscriptions worldwide in 190 countries. But I'm still not thinking. I'm still so traumatized from the movie, almost like never seeing the light of day, that when it was about to come out, I was like, will anybody watch this? Will anybody get this? Will anybody see this? I just had the kind of a depressive feel about the movie. And the fact that it's like number 1 globally, number 1 in the U.S., it's just so well on like Rotten Tomatoes, and the reviews have been amazing, and the response, and also just the grassroots word of mouth kind of, cultural waves of it. It's still, to me, surreal. And I'm not experiencing at a festival, at a film festival. I'm not on tour right now. I'm in quarantine. So it's like, everything feels, it's a little frustrating. Well, it's a little bit of cognitive dissonance. It feels surreal. All the data I'm getting about the movie is just digitally. I'm just getting all this positive feedback and these great numbers and these great, this number 1 position just from my laptop and my phone. So I'm like, is it real? Like if I was on stage at South by Southwest giving a Q&A right now, I would kind of feel the energy of it all.
Yeah.
But it's and I'm not complaining. It's just very surreal. I'm like, are people really watching this? Is this real? Is somebody fucking with me? Am I being pranked? Like, so it's. I'm not complaining. It's just very. We're in a bizarre world. We're in this bizarre. Everything's just by quarantine's demand had to be digital and virtual this year. So I still don't. I'm like once we're all vaccinated and out of quarantine, I think I'll really start feeling the love. And I want to do a proper screening of it too. I mean, it's such a tease to not like be able to do like a theatrical screening of it, because just imagine like if people are laughing that much at home in the theaters, how much that laughter would just be contagious and boisterous. And
Yeah.
so
Well, one day of screening. Unfortunately, it won't be the ArcLight.
Yeah, R.I.P. I'm so
R.I.P.
sad.
That's
Yeah,
life. That's life.
that's
How
life.
how how did you celebrate this film's success then? If you couldn't be at a South by screening or out in the world at some premieres, like when you found out that Bad Trip was a hit, how did you celebrate pandemic style?
I drank champagne on a boat with my vaccinated friends.
That's not bad.
Yeah.
That's not bad, Mr.
What
Andre.
else can I do? I mean, like, there's not
Yeah.
much to do, you know. We're just
Yeah.
getting back to normal. A lot of my friends work in food and agriculture, so they've been vaccinated, all the vaccinate. So tomorrow, April 15th, everyone now is eligible for vaccination. So everybody, my parents I was worried about my parents the most, and
Yeah. Yeah.
they got it pretty early on. So I'm like, all right.
Yeah. So you do pranks on the Eric Andre show as well.
Yeah.
And whenever I read about that show and read about you talking about it, a word that is always tossed about is absurdist.
Yes.
And then in this interview with IndieWire, I really love something you told them. You said that your goal with these pranks is not to be mean, but to instead warp people's reality to the point of psychosis.
Yeah.
It's like, whoa, huh? What do you mean by that?
What don't I mean by that, my friend, is the question. No, I think pranks, you have to thread the needle with pranks because it's very easy to make a prank feel mean or mean-spirited. And I don't think there's any creative value in being mean or malicious. I don't think it's like watchable even or fun. You know, it should be a fun watch. Mm-hmm. So the way to keep pranks ethical and make them fun and enjoyable to watch is distorting reality to its to the nth degree, which is the verge of psychosis.
When you get people to that state,
Yes.
what do you hope they bring back with them to the real world?
I hope they have a story to tell for the rest of their life.
That's nice.
Yeah.
That's nice. It's
Yeah.
funny reading up on this and you like taking people to that point, to that absurdist brink
Yeah.
of like psychosis. I was like, oh, tell me if I'm reaching here. It's like, is this a parallel to like Eric Andre's drug use? You talk about it a lot, and
Yeah.
like, you have these experiences that are transcendent for you when you're on some drugs. It's like, oh, are you giving that experience in this different way to people when you prank them that hard? Something transcendent in this weird way.
I don't know. Maybe. Maybe. Well, all drugs are not created equal. I would say
Yeah,
that some
I would
drugs
agree.
are a transcendent experience, and some drugs are just a good time, or all of the above. Yeah, maybe. But I mean, that's more of a question for the people I'm pranking. I don't know what their experience is internally.
Yeah.
You might have to ask Robin Givens.
Yeah, yeah. Do you think that what people find funny has changed over the course of the pandemic?
I don't know. That's another question you might have to ask them. I think that, yes, I think that comedy has a short shelf life and it will always evolve and change as society evolves and changes in general.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. No, I hear you. What comedy does that for you? Like, takes you to that other level, that point of like absurdist psychosis. When you're consuming other people's work, what gives you that right now?
I mean, over the years, I mean, of any decade, of any generation.
Yeah.
I mean, I love stand-up wise. I still think Richard Pryor is ahead of his time. I grew up on Chris Rock, Chappelle, Bill Hicks, Joan Rivers, Phyllis Diller, Lenny Bruce. I think they're kind of still ahead of their time. Monty Python. I grew up on Ren and Stimpy and Space Ghost and Ollie G Show and Chappelle Show and In Living Color and and The Simpsons, Wonder Shows, and I think, and I love Howard Stern. I think Dave Chappelle gave me the best advice of all time as far as stand-up goes, because I was very nervous about filming my stand-up special, and I was backstage with him at a benefit that Hannibal was throwing in Chicago. And I was like, I'm nervous. I want to make sure every joke just hits. Like, there's not any, I want to trim all the fat in my set and make sure that the set is explosive. And he goes, take the pressure off yourself. You don't have to be funny for all 60 minutes of your special. You just have to be interesting. So I think anybody with a unique, interesting point of view is somebody that kind of has the potential to blow my mind. I love Jon Stewart, Bill Maher, Nathan Fielder. Like, I think like they all share the same. All those people I just mentioned share the same thing. They're very smart and unique. And they have such a unique perspective that you're constantly leaning in because you don't know what they're going to say next, and you're genuinely curious of their opinion.
Yeah. I rewatched a few weeks ago Queens of Comedy, and I'd forgotten how great it was.
No, I got to watch that.
Like, you haven't seen it?
No, I don't think. Wait, who's in it?
So, after there was Kings of Comedy with Steve Harvey and Cedric and all them, there was Queens of Comedy with Monique and Samore and two other black women, and it's just like,
I love Samore. Samore
peed my pants. Peed my pants watching this. Put it on your list.
Miss Laura Hayes.
Miss Laura, yes. You haven't seen Queens of Comedy?
Monique. No, I gotta see it. So
also,
there was after the success of Kings of Comedy, there was a slew of there was Queens of Comedy and like
Dukes of Comedy.
Dukes of Comedy, the comedians of comedy. There's so many, there's like a wave after the success of that movie that I just never caught up.
Yeah, this was the one. Monique is just on another level. Anyways,
she's very funny, and she also has a special at a women's prison that's worth watching.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you should watch that.
Check it out. Check it out. A thing that we both have in common is that
I spilled tea on my Celine Dion shirt. I have a drinking problem.
Listen, who among us? We both studied music in college, and then
really, where'd you go?
Music now. I went to a little bitty Catholic school in San Antonio, Texas, called the University of the Incarnate Word, and one of my majors was music composition. I played the saxophone. But
really?
I don't do that now, and so I'm wondering, you went
alto, tenor.
I play them all. I like tenor the most. It sounds
Barry?
like I did Barry for a while, and I was like, this is heavy, and it takes too much of the lungs. But I could do them all, and I stuck with tenor because it sounds the most like what people think a saxophone should sound like.
Yeah, like a tenor sax.
Yeah, it's fun. And you played double bass and went to Berkeley.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah,
I mean, I think it's pretty cool. How did you get from playing the double bass to comedy?
As I was finishing music school, I realized I made a terrible mistake going to music school.
Why mistake?
Just because the music I wanted to make would never make any money.
What kind of music?
Just experimental, unlistenable, not popular music. And even if I made popular music, the music industry was so chaotic, and it was really like hitting the lotto if you made it. And I just knew virtuoso musicians and genius songwriters that were living lives of poverty, and it felt like there was no rhyme or reason, and like even it. What's the word? It's not the music industry is not a meritocracy. It's like you're not rewarded for your skill set. But if you are a very, very funny comedian and you really hone your comedy, I felt like I would at least have a job somewhere, a writing gig, whatever. So I just, my band was playing these kind of crappy open mics all over.
What was your band name?
Blarf.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
No, you're not serious.
Yeah, because I just wanted it to be a dumb name, and I just thought the sound Blarf. I probably got it from Ren and Stimpy. And as my band was playing these, kind of chicken shows all over Boston, I would always see flyers for like open mic stand-up comedy nights posted on the bulletin boards at these venues, and I just gave it a shot because I was always the class clown. And my good buddy of mine, Brian Moskin, talked me into doing it. He really like believed in me early on. And right when I started doing stand-up, I fell in love with it, and I realized that it was kind of my calling, and I just felt like I had to try to pursue it. And I knew I wanted to move to New York and live in New York City, and New York City is kind of the best town to do stand-up comedy in. So I started in Boston, but I cut my teeth in New York, and I was just doing, multiple shows a night every night for years until I kind of started getting funny.
It's interesting to hear you say, oh, I figured out that it's kind of too hard to know if you're going to make it in the music biz, so I went into comedy. Like, that's also not a sure shot.
It's not a sure shot, but I felt like if I got good at music, I didn't think I would necessarily have a real career. But if I got good at comedy, I would have somewhat of a career. And there's way less comedians on earth than musicians. I'd say for every one comedian you meet, there's probably 100 musicians for every one comedian. It's
and you're in the middle of that Venn diagram.
Yep, that's me.
You still play?
A little bit. Upright bass requires so much upkeep. Like your endurance, goes away really quick. It's a painful instrument. So I play a little bit, but I run out of steam pretty quickly, and then I get blisters on my fingers, and I gotta give up.
Is there a lesson from your time spent studying music that you find applicable in your comedic work?
I think musicians have great discipline, and musicians are a really, really disciplined, focused group, and they're very gregarious. They're very sweet. Comedians aren't so sweet, but the work ethic of a musician is what I brought into comedy. Musicians, especially the ones that were in school and really pursuing it, they really, really worked very, very hard. I remember kids would fall asleep in the practice rooms practicing for 10 hours a day. There was this kid that would put oven mitts on his hands and practice saxophone because he found out John Coltrane used to do that. It's like a weighted exercise. You would practice with oven mitts on, then you would take them off and then shred. Boom. And he would fall asleep in the practice room with his oven mitts on and his saxophone around his neck just from, rehearsal exhaustion.
Did he make it? Do we know who this guy is?
I don't know. No, I don't know. Maybe he's a great session musician somewhere. But I would see kids like that, and I would just be so inspired. I'd have a lot of admiration for their work ethic. So, musicians work very hard. My friend's actually a musician in the Army, and he said that the Army always jokes around that musicians make great soldiers because they're so disciplined. But he just he plays saxophone too. He just plays saxophones at gigs. He's like, the Army's so massive and expensive. He's like, I'm not doing tours of Iraq. I'm playing funeral marches when the general dies and stuff.
Well, also, I think musicians know how to just turn it on. You can be having a bad day, you can be tired, you can be upset, but when it's time to play, when it's time to perform, you just freaking do it. You know?
They're professional. And it's a temporal art. It requires timing. It requires precise timing, as does comedy. So that's kind of the crossover, I'd say. Yeah.
We're almost at an hour. I only have one more question for you, I promise. And I'm going to let you go enjoy that beautiful Hyatt hotel room.
Thank you.
Last question for you. I've seen a lot of folks ask about who you most want to prank, but I'm wondering who you would never prank and why.
Oh, gosh. I don't know. That's a good question, too. Who would I never prank? I don't like anything that feels... Oh, I'll tell you. That's okay. I got an answer. We found out LeVar Burton wanted to do the show season 5, and he did. So I was about to put him in the chair and prank him. And I looked at my director and my writing partner, and I go, I grew up on Reading Rainbow and Star Trek and Roots And LeVar Burton's work is so like he raised me. Like those are such seminal. Like I watched Star Trek with my grandma. My mom made me watch Roots when I was 8 years old onwards, and when
That's kind of young for Roots, bro.
No, my mom was my mom's the white one too, and she is more woke. My mom is more into black rights than my dad. My dad is like, my dad's black. My mom's white. My mom, when she was 18 years old, was at the March on Washington and saw Martin Luther King's "I Have a Dream" speech in 1963 when she was 18 years old.
Come through, ally.
So my mom has been woke since day one, but LeVar Burton was so part of my childhood that I turn to my producing partners and I go, I don't have the heart to prank him. Like I can't. I can't do it. And I was like trying to write pranks for LeVar Burton, and I was like, I can't. It's like, I don't know what it'd be like pranking my grandmother or like pranking Santa Claus. Like he's like almost mythical, like in my heart. So we had him on the show and we had him do like wacky pranks with the other guests, but he was like in on it. Like we didn't sit him in the couch and prank him. So that's my answer, LeVar Burton.
That's a good answer. We love LeVar. We love LeVar.
Yeah.
Well, we've hit our hour. I'm really grateful to you for this time and this conversation, but I'm also thankful. I realized thinking about this interview and this movie and my questions for you, I think what I like most about what Bad Trip does right now is it gives viewers this like hour and a half of just black joy, black absurdity, and black hijinks. And this moment when all the other news is black pain and black trauma and black suffering. So I thank you for that. And
of course.
It meant a lot to me.
Thank you. I appreciate that. That means a lot.
Yes, sir.